Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific, and I had some thoughts. I wanted to do a part two on the Aurora Theater shooting that happened this last weekend. And I went to a church today because I need that. And the preacher said something interesting that caused me to do some thinking. And I actually been thinking about this the last couple days. But before I get into all that, I wanted to clarify. Number one, I'm not claiming to be perfect. None of us are. But I had some thoughts as to some of the things that contribute to some of the craziness in our society. A lot of people, and of course we get shocked when we hear that some gunman went nuts in a theater killing people. But I have a couple questions for society at large, and I have a couple questions for those of us that call ourselves adults. Are we really looking at what's causing some of this stuff? Now, we don't know everything. I'm just throwing out some speculations and some observations I made over the years, and I'm 46 years old. That was a tragedy, and it's too bad it happened, and I'm sorry for the victims. But I do want to ask a question. Do you think our obsession with the media, Hollywood, and movies has gone too far? I would say so. I don't want to get into name calling and mentioning the names of movies and stuff, but I do want to say something about most of our American culture and Hollywood media today. It seems to, and for a long time, has promoted a lot of stuff that just doesn't sound like, look like, emanate value or quality. So many movies are so violent. So many movies are laced with sexual epithet, sexual innuendo. And regardless of what one believes, we can all say to a degree things have definitely gotten worse on that front in American culture in the last 30 years. Big time. Columbine was it was a tragedy also, and it was brought up about the movie that the Klebold and Harris children watch, Basketball Diaries. And I will say this, I'm not a college educated man, but I've traveled the world. I've lived all over, and I'm fairly book smart and fairly well read. And as my uncle told me, I'm a student of people. One of the things that really has disturbed me over the years, especially when Columbine came out and people started finger pointing at Hollywood, and Hollywood says, we're not responsible. Why is it that if we tend to do something, for example, put ourselves in an environment, let's say a man shows up at adult bookstores and is constantly going into bookstores, adult bookstores, it would be reasonable to say he's looking at pornography and he's doing all this pornographic stuff. But somebody who watches a steady diet of violent movies, that doesn't adversely affect a person? You're kidding me. Are we that stupid? What we take in does affect us. The culture that we surround ourselves with affects us. I'm going to nail three things specifically. I'm going to nail video games, rap music, not all rap music, let me clarify. Rap music that's got the mother effer and the F bomb and the shoot the cop, shoot the preacher, and all this junk. Now, I lived in Aurora years ago. I've lived in Lakewood, Inglewood, and Denver, and I like the metro area. But I've noticed something. Car pulls up next to me at a light and they're blasting that rap, and it is most of the time it's offensive, not to mention obnoxious, and I really don't care to hear my pickup truck's metal vibrating because somebody feels that all of us need to hear their obnoxious bass 10 miles away. I've noticed something about the people and the genre of people that listen to that. Regardless of ethnicity or sex, the people who listen to that offensive, raunchy rap music usually are not what I call quality people. Hat on backwards, drive like a punk, cut everybody off, and raise hell. Fact. Generalization, but fact. Next issue, violent video games, car theft, San Andreas. Real good video game, folks. Teaching you how to steal a car and club somebody in the process. I want to get back to something before I go off on the media because this is important. Where are the adults and the parents in our society that should be taking a stand against this stuff? Maybe the adults are doing this too. And in many cases, we have babies having babies, and daddy's playing car theft San Andreas. And while teaching his son it's okay to play violent video games and watch violent movies, drive and act like a punk. But let's deal with adults. Let's deal with middle class adults that have college degrees, nice homes, nice SUVs. And let me tell you what I see every day. Okay. I drive. I've driven for a living. Right now, I'm a private contractor. And it does not one day goes by as I drive through the metro area that I watch the all people, but you watch the people that are doing well, middle class people with their SUVs, no turn signals, no following the rules, no speed limit, cutting in and out, racing to get to the next red light. And then you get 2 miles up the road, and guess who's sitting next to you after driving like a complete bonehead? Yep, you guessed it. I wonder if adults are failing to set an example for the children of today, which leads me into the next issue, the gunman. It was said on the news the other day he hated people. How did he come to that conclusion? Did it have to do with parents? Did it have to do with society not paying attention? I'm not condoning what he did, but it's interesting. We seem to be living in a culture of sensuality and violence on all levels. Look at the way most women dress today. Look at what's on the front cover of the tabloids and the magazines in the checkout aisle. Look at how they parade advertising with sexuality all the time. Movies sell it, beverages sell it, everything sells it. Sex sells the product, and now it's all become one and the same. But back to the violence. Hollywood's had their share of violent movies, tons of it. And the thing is, they just back up, recoil, and say, we're not responsible. I remember growing up with saying garbage in, garbage out. You're taking a steady diet of this stuff. What do you think you're going to do? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I still hear people say, that was a great movie. Really? What a great plot. Let's get a chainsaw and slice everybody up. The fact that people in a civilized culture enjoy blood, guts, and gore and shoot 'em ups to that degree tells me something is wrong with the conscience. Next issue. And yes, I'm bringing this into this. And I know I'll get ridiculed. We're going to talk about ridicule and internet trolls in a minute because I got some really snotty comments, which unfortunately, in my humanity, I responded not so classy back to. And then I caught myself and said, wait a minute, I'm lowering myself to the level of fools. Some trolls, probably ones that were offended when I said we need to deal with the gangs in our society and stop letting them push us back in fear. And we need to push back and tell them we're not going to tolerate your monstrous and medieval behavior. The thing that bothers me is people left comments like nerd, punk, pussy, all that on my site. You guys are cowards. Anybody can sit behind a monitor and say stuff like that. And what was the problem? I'm talking about a tragedy, talking about people doing things they shouldn't be doing, shooting people in a theater. But let's ask the next question. Why was there a 6-year-old in the theater at midnight? A little confused. My son went to bed for the first, 10 years of his life? Or not 10 years, excuse me, at least the first six? I had a hard time. It was my girlfriend who asked me that. I called her to tell her about the news, and I said, did you hear the news? I told her, and then she goes, yeah, what's a 6-year-old doing in a movie theater in the middle of the night? And I said, I didn't even think of that. Good question. Hey, I'm not here to cause a firestorm of controversy, but it seems that our whole society's changed. Another thing that proliferates in our school system today is to teach everybody that we're just all cosmic accidents and there's no God. Okay, this is an open season for, oh, that's religion, whatever. Let me tell you something. If you teach people there's no God, then it stands to reason there's no absolutes except what man considers important. And that can vacillate opinion to opinion. If you have no absolutes, and you have no afterlife, and you have no God, and you have no hope, what reason is there to live a productive, quality life? Why not just go crazy and do crazy things? I can prove to you that in the last so many years in American culture, we've seen a downward slide in education, downward slide in rock music, a downward slide in rap music, a downward slide in Hollywood's bill of fare, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Why is that? We're supposed to be evolving, right? Why is crime going up? Why is carjacking going up? Why are gangs proliferating? I rest my case. This is not a video arguing about the existence or the non existence of God. I'm just making observations from Pacific's point of view based on observation and what I'm seeing. I'm commenting on parents all across this metro area and in every city in America. When you teach your kids it's okay to speed and drive like a maniac and cut off a complete stranger who's done nothing wrong to you because he or she's going the speed limit, what are you telling your children? When you endorse Hollywood with sex, sleaze, profanity, and all the horrible things and violence, what are you telling your kids? What are you telling your kids when your biggest thing is buying $5 coffee and materialism is king and we lack intimacy and community in our neighborhoods today and many churches? because now we're so fiercely independent, nobody really cares about anybody except small clusters of people here and there. What are we doing? We're alienating people. We're becoming less concerned about our fellow man. And then a guy opens fire in a theater and everybody goes, oh, how could this happen? When are you going to wake up, society? Man is not basically good. Man is evil. And this is what we do, especially when we tell them there's no God and that they evolved from some accident. There's no absolute, especially when we teach our kids that getting an SUV and expensive homes and all this material goods and texting and Facebook is more important than real people and manners and kindness. Oh, but that's stepping on toes, and I'm going to catch heat for that. That's okay. I've made it 46 years. The Lord willing, I'll make it for maybe 40 more. Who knows? But the people that wrote the comments to me, they were horrible comments. They were nasty comments on my other video. My other video was kind. It was dealing with the tragedy, dealing with the gangs and the stuff like that. And this was sad. Nobody was blamed. No ethnicity was blamed. I didn't even know who did it. Doesn't matter what ethnicity did it. It matters that anybody did it at all. The issue is not gun control either. It's about getting control of our society. It's about caring about your neighbor, caring about your church people, caring about your school district, and getting involved. When people stop caring about people and they make a statement that my SUV is bigger than your SUV and my $400,000 house is better than your Ken Carroll house, we got a problem. When we communicate that it's okay to watch this filth and garbage and violence, and then we wonder, well, how come he went and did that? He must be a crazy. No, he wasn't crazy. He grew up on a culture that promotes it and is entertained by it. It sickens me to think of people sitting there munching their buttered popcorn while people's heads are being blown away. And then I look at most of the young people and even adults. You go down to Colfax, you get on the city bus, they look like zombies. Uh, Nothing there. Hats on backwards. You know what? It's not good. I'm commenting on this tragedy, saying that Hollywood is responsible. Parents are responsible. Guns are not the problem. I've lived in states where there were so many hunters and millions of people had guns. They're not the ones shooting everybody, folks. Why is it that young kids are going ballistic? When I was in school, I had some bad teachers. I had some bad classmates. I was throttled on the way home from school sometimes. Had the stuff kicked out of me for no reason. I never thought about getting a gun and blowing people away. Why? Because I didn't watch that crap. I didn't play violent video games. I grew up on Space Invaders and Pac Man for crying out loud, and we thought that was cool. One of my own relatives in my family plays nothing but violent video games. This is a doctor working on children. Isn't that great? This is what our society craves. This is what they want. Hollywood's giving them what they want, and adults aren't standing up and saying, this is inappropriate. When I look at the way most adults drive in this right here, Denver metro area, I'm disgusted beyond measure. I don't care how cool you think your $45,000 piece of garbage is that you paid too much for because it's an SUV, which you didn't need. When you drive like an idiot, you're telling me who you are right now. You can fool people of who you are until I see how you drive your car. And then you're getting mad at those that are stopping at a complete stop at a stop sign and going the speed limit in the right lane. What are you telling your children? And then they give their kids a car, which they don't buy themselves, and then they're shocked that they wrap it around a phone pole at 80 miles an hour. Could it be because dad drove like an idiot? Could be, perhaps. I'm commenting on all this because it does matter how we live. Now, I've made my mistakes, but when I get in my vehicle, I know I could kill somebody with it. I was explaining to my girlfriend that guns are not the problem. I could take my pickup and ram through a crowd of 50 people and use it as a weapon. I wouldn't, but I could. It's not the gun that's the problem. It's not the truck that's the problem. It's people that are the problem. And when people are taking in a steady diet of violence and they're entertained by it, it doesn't take long before they go from the fantasy cyber world of it and turn it into something real. A lot of kids have a bloodthirstiness today. Where did that all come from? Certainly wasn't Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner, though there are some of those crazy people that think that those were violent. We knew the difference. You drop an anvil on your head, it's going to hurt. This is different. These are real people portraying real violence. And I will tell you, Hollywood is responsible. And in our American disgusting culture that has gotten away from us, we're endorsing this stuff. The biggest three things that we endorse today is materialism, the media, and money. That's it. And we're teaching our kids that that's so important. But in the process, the kids are learning the lesson. They're watching even worse stuff than we watched, and it's getting decadently worse as time goes on. This tragedy could have been avoided. I don't know the kid who did it. I know nothing about his background, but our culture isn't helping any. This is Pacific's comments. This is what I have to say about the matter. Take care. Bye bye.